Hello.
Wait a minute.
Geshe, for the prayers, we'll do something very similar, but I thought we'd do what we usually do in the weekend, which includes the prayer to Shakyamuni Buddha and then mandala offering and refuge. So it's still very brief. And we'll do the very nice dedication that you asked for at the end. We'll still do that one.
Maybe we can, because we have only 3 sessions, so maybe we try to keep the prayer.
Yeah,
we don't have to do the Shakyamuni today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just do the refuge and bodhisattva.
Okay. Okay.
Tashi dele venerable Ketubla. Tashi dele
Geshe
Degila. Marjorie Degila. Thank you. Chamberlain, Eden, Patty.
Any love song? I'm not sure. Are you in Dharamsala?
I'm watching from Germany.
Germany. Okay. Yeah, and Pavi is coming from Finland.
Yes, yeah.
I'm
from Finland.
Yes.
Yeah, Toshitele.
I think we've got things going well. So people joining. And Christine, who's joining us from the United Kingdom. Last year she was in the Canary Islands, but now she's in the UK. Hi, Christine.
So shall we start?
Sure. Okay. Share the screen. Start with the prayers. Do you want to start with the refuge and bodhicitta, or would you like to? Yeah. Okay.
I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merit of destiny with Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Sangye Chodam Sangye Bado Dane Japus Dagi Sheshe Gibe Sonange Dola Kenje Sangye Dubash Sangye Chodam Soge Sonam Sangye Bado Dane Japus Dagi Sheshe Gibe Sonange Dola Kenje Sangye Dubash. Okay. So maybe we will take a few moments to generate a good intention, motivation for being here. So first try to quiet your mind, watching the breath mindfully. Once your mind is settled down, then you can try to generate good motivation, for example, by contemplating. Life is very short. Never know when it's going to come to an end. Supposedly, even we have 100 years to live, most of them is already gone. Whatever is left, we never know when it's going to come to an end and how, in what situation. Therefore, whatever lifespan remaining we have to make it meaningful. And we have a better purpose, higher purpose in our life. And that is to practice the Dharma. There's nothing more meaningful or high purpose than to practice the Dharma. Practicing the Dharma means trying to reduce and eliminate all those disturbing negative emotions and cultivating and fully developing all the beneficial positive state of minds. Such as true love, compassion, bodhisattva mind, patience, and wisdom relies on ultimate truth, and so forth. And to be able to cultivate them and fully develop them, we need to practice. And in order to practice, we need to be reminded of the practice all the time. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the teachings, the talk, and whatever I find any help and beneficial from those talk and teachings, that I'm going to try to apply and integrate into my everyday life as much as possible. Also, the purpose of practicing the Dharma is to be help and benefit to not only oneself, but for all sentient beings. In order to be greatest help, benefit to each and every sentient beings, I must achieve fully awakened state. In order to achieve that fully awakened state, I must engage in the practice, the bodhisattva path and practices. So for that, as I should study, learn, continue to learn, study. For that very purpose, I'm going to listen. May my act of listening become cause and condition to achieve that fully awakened state. so I can be greatest help, benefit to all sentient beings. Okay. So welcome and greeting from New Mexico, Santa Fe. So the subjects of the discussion is, the 8th chapter of the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life. And the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life explains very detailed on the practice of 6 paramita, the Bodhisattva's practice of 6 paramita. And chapter 8 explains, the paramita of, meditative concentrations. And as far as the object of the meditation, then here it explained the object of the meditation is the bodhicitta mind. And so they here explain extensively special particular technique of meditating on bodhicitta by using equalizing and exchanging self with others, that particular method. And you cannot find within all the Buddhist teachings more extensive on this particular meditation method of equalizing, exchanging self with others than in this Shantideva's writing in this chapter 8, and so as His Holiness Dalai Lama always advised, that we need to cultivate the wisdom and compassion, bodhicitta mind. And in order to develop that compassion mind, then, he recommend to study this Shantideva's text, especially chapter 8 for that purpose. And to develop wisdom, then, he encourage, recommend to studies, Nagarjuna's writings and, Chandrakiri's writings, and of course, like Lama Tsongkhap's writing and so forth. So yeah, just to kind of, in chapter first, he explained about the benefit of the bodhicitta mind. So to inspire, to cultivate bodhicitta mind, the more benefit you understand, the more benefit you feel, the more you are inspired, and the more you have enthusiasm to develop that mind. And in chapters, 2 and 3, then, he explains about the kind of the preliminary practices to develop the bodhicitta minds, such as the 6, the 7, the practice of 7 limbs, and so forth, and also, how to, roughly. And then, chapter 4 and 5, then he covers, the paramita of moral discipline, the paramita within the chapter 4 and 5, it covers. And then chapter 6, in the paramita of patience, chapter 7, the paramita of joy, effort, or enthusiasm in virtues. And then, chapter 8, meditative concentration, chapter 9, paramita of wisdom. And then the 10th, dedications. And even though he doesn't have any specific chapter on one of the parameter of generosity, but he does cover about the generosity in different chapter. It doesn't have one specific chapter, unlike like all others, but he does cover about the generosity here and there in the different chapters. So in that way, he covers the cultivating the bodhisattva mind, how to cultivate the bodhisattva mind, and then once you have cultivated the bodhisattva mind, how to engage in the practice of 6 paramitas. So in that way, he covered the whole path of the bodhisattvas. Okay. And not only he covered the whole path, but covers the path and the practice meditation in the great details. Some of the wisdom part, you can find more details in Nagarjuna's writing, Chandrakirti's, and many others. But when it comes to certain chapters or practice parameters, such as especially the bodhicitta on equalizing self, equalizing and exchanging self with others, you cannot find any detail in any others writing of the Indian masters. Also, when it comes to the chapter on patience, chapter on joyous effort, those are something that you find one of the most detailed teachings and meditation and practice you find in his writings, Shantideva's writing. So we are in chapter 8. And I think there are different translations, and I think I'm going to use the one by Stephen Batchelor. So in that first verse, it says, having developed enthusiasm in this way. So in chapter 7, he explained about the enthusiasm in the virtues. So that is what he's talking about. Having developed, having engaged in the practice of cultivating in the practice of paramita of enthusiasm or joyous effort in the virtues in this way, as is explained, then I should place my mind in concentrations. Then you should place your mind in cultivating meditative concentration or calm abiding shamatha. For the man, for the man whose mind is distracted, dwells between the fang of disturbing conceptions. If you cannot develop strong meditative concentrations, and if your mind is easily distracted, if you cannot control your mind, if you are unable to control your mind, and because you are unable to control your mind, if your mind is easily distracted, then there is a danger of those disturbing afflictive emotions arising. Anger could arise. Strong craving attachment could arise. Strong arrogance could arise. Strong selfish attitudes and jealousy and so forth. Those disturbing negative emotions can arise very easily. And when they arise, then, it disturbs you. It disturbs your mind. Not only it disturbs your mind, then when your mind is disturbed, then you act in a way that brings harm and pain to others as well. So therefore, it puts you into danger. it puts you in the danger to be harm to yourself and harm to others. What make you put you in danger to yourself and to others is those afflicted emotions, those disturbing afflicted emotions. And when they do arise, they arises when we don't have control over our mind, and so therefore when you have when you are able to develop meditative concentrations, then you gain certain level of control over your mind. And when you have certain control of your mind, then you don't allow those afflicted emotions from manifesting, and thereby protect yourself and others from the dangers and the pain and sufferings. So that is so here he's explaining why we need to cultivate this meditative concentration, karma abiding, the importance of that. We need to cultivate that meditative concentrations, the karma abiding, shamatha, in order to protect yourself and protect others, to protect your minds. And by protecting your minds, you are able to protect yourself and others from receiving harm from you. So also, I think I mentioned in the past, how each of those previous practice of paramita help and support to the next practice of paramita. So when you have developed a strong enthusiasm into virtues, then you don't have so much laziness. You have a lot of energy, enthusiasm in practice, a lot of joyful effort, not only effort, but joyful effort. And when you have that, then it becomes more easy to develop meditative concentrations. And one of the reasons why we cannot develop karma abiding, or one of the obstacles to develop karma abiding meditative concentration, shamatha, is, we become lazy and we don't have the time, the energy, and interest or enthusiasm in meditating for a long time, many periods, and like that. And so, but when you have that kind of joyful enthusiasm, then you wouldn't mind meditating, 3, 4 sessions, 5 sessions, 10 sessions each day, and for a long time. And when you are able to do that, then it increases the chance for you to cultivate better result from your meditations. So, and then verse number 2, it says, how can we develop that meditative concentrations, and in order to develop meditative concentration, karma abiding, then you need to gather the conducive conditions, conducive conditions. If the conducive conditions are there, then it is easy to practice and easy to develop. When the conducive conditions are not there, then it becomes more challenging to practice. It becomes more challenging to actualize the result from the practice. So here it says, verse number 2, but through the solitude of body and mind, no distractions will occur. So in order to your mind to develop karma abiding meditative concentrations, it should be free from 2 things, distractions and dullness. And of course there are, gross level, subtle level, more subtle level of distractions, as well as gross level, subtle level, of more subtle level of dullness or laxity, And so therefore, in order to develop meditative concentrations or karma abiding, your mind should be free from both, gross and subtle and more subtle level of distraction as well as laxity, where your mind is very alert, there's a clarity, stability, okay, very stability, not distracted, and with a very strong stability, steadiness, stability without distraction. And not only that, also clarity to the object of meditations, and then, a lot of intensity with that, and so when you have that, then, so to develop that, then it should be free from the distractions and laxity. And the way, in order to develop your mind that's free from distractions and laxity, then you need conducive conditions such as, solitude, environment, physical and mental, where your mind is free from busyness as well as your physical is also free from busyness. The more busy you become physically, the more distraction you have. The more your mind becomes busy, the more distraction you have. So therefore, one have to find and create environment where there is less busyness, and thereby finding solitude, body and mind. And so here then, in that verse, he says, therefore I should forsake the worldly life and completely discard distorted conceptions. So in order to create a better environment, physical environment, free from all the busyness of your life, so then here, you should try to, give up being too busy in your worldly activities, worldly activities. Sometimes we get too busy in worldly activities, and because we are too busy in worldly activities, then we have too much distractions, So even we cannot find, complete solitude. Of course, to develop real shamatha, if someone seriously really want to accomplish shamatha, develop, then definitely you have to find really quiet solitude places. But of course, for us at the moment, we might not have that opportunity. So we the point is how can we develop our concentration better, and how can we get closer to develop shamatha, and so in that way, the way is try to reduce the busyness of worldly activities as much as possible, so that we can find more time to practice meditations, as well as that when we try to practice meditation, our minds are less distracted because of thinking about all other worldly activities that we have been engaging or that we were thinking of engaging. So those thoughts comes. But when you have less of that, you have less to think about all that, and there's less distraction. So therefore, ways to create, that kind of physical environment where you become less busy with worldly activities. And then how can we stop being busy in our mind? And one of the things that we can stop being busy in our mind and therefore being distracted is then, distorted. Okay. And then when your mind is free from that, all those distractions, then you can overcome those distorted conceptions. Those distorted conceptions arise and manifest due to all this busy and distracted mind. So then, here is talking about next is the obstacles to develop, karma abiding, concentrated meditations, external, internal obstacles, and internal obstacles, where we get easily distracted when we try to meditate is, again, one of them is attachments. So therefore, here it says, worldly life is not forsaken because of attachments to the people, Why couldn't we give up our worldly life and totally dedicate? One of the reasons why we are unable to give up, our worldly life and totally dedicate ourselves to the practice in such a solitude places. For example, like what Buddha did, Buddha kind of left behind, his royal palace, including his parent, families, including his wife, children, all of that, and then being able to leave all behind and to be able to really dedicate himself for 4 years, in such an environment, and thereby to be able to achieve the enlightenment. And having achieved the enlightenment, therefore he was able to help not only just his family, but whole citizens and whole world and all sentient beings. Not only he was able to help them, he was able to help them much on deeper level, much more profound level. And the reason he is able to help them more profound, deeper level is because of his own inner realizations, his own transformation, inner realizations. And that inner realization and transformation came through such a, serious dedication to the practice. He was able to do, but for us, it's difficult, it's difficult. It's hard to do that because, again, even as a monk, sometimes it's hard. Even though you are wearing a monk's robe and you are taking a vow, but even you can still get distracted in some worldly life. You have shaved your hair, you have taken a new robe, you have taken some kind of vow, precepts, but still, a lot of time your mind is still very busy with worldly life. Still a lot of attachment, worldly life, and so therefore, so that is why, again, even after taking an ordination, sometimes you are unable to make a huge progress and transformations in your mind because of that. And so here is saying why we are unable to give up such worldly life is because of attachment to peoples, because of and due to craving for material gains and life, and due to craving, attachment to material gains, due to attachment to reputations, fames, praises, so on. We get very much attached and craving for all of that. Because of that, then we are caught up in the samsara. We are caught in the worldly activities and worldly life. we're caught up, you know. Sometimes we are very attached to the material things. Even when you are not attached to material things, we might be attached to reputations. Even when you are not attached to reputation or fame, material things, we might be very attached to people's. And so due to being so attached to one of them, we cannot kind of totally let go of being busy with this worldly life and worldly activities, you know. And when we have all this due to such attachments, then even when you try to meditate and contemplate, your mind gets easily distracted. Your mind gets easily distracted. Your mind gets easily distracted. When you're attached to something, you worry about it. You are fearful about yourself because you are attached to yourself, or you are attached to someone. You started worrying about what might have happened to them. Or he or she was supposed to go to the hospital, or he or she was supposed to go to that job. Did he go? Did it went well? Maybe it didn't went well. Maybe. So, those kind of thoughts just started to, while you're trying to practice, meditate, those thoughts started to come in your mind. And so you cannot focus. You are unable to focus because all these kind of different thoughts, fear, worry, concern, whatever different thoughts arises while you're trying to meditate, concentrate on something. And because of, again, attachment to them, oh, what might happen to my business? What might happen to my job? Or maybe I didn't do it right yesterday. Or maybe I should do this way. I could have done that way. So, all these, again, different thoughts, feelings, emotions arising while you are trying to meditate and contemplate. All these distractions arises because of our attachment to those different objects. And therefore, when your mind is distracted, then that is how we are unable to develop meditation concentrations or karma abiding. So therefore, as it says in that verse number 3, therefore I should entirely forsake those things, for this is the way in which the wise behave. So those wise ones who understand the shortcoming of those attachments and object of attachments, and who understands, the benefit of cultivating, karma abiding that's free from all the distractions and so on, then, they give up, or they give up and not attach to all these objects, that give rise to those attachments, and thereby overcoming attachment. By overcoming the attachments, then they reduce the mental busyness. They are able to reduce the mental busyness, and distractions. Then the next one, verse number 4, is identifying, and the antidotes. Identifying the antidote to those disturbing negative emotions, such as attachments, anger, jealousy, delusional pride, and so forth, which are the obstacle to develop meditative concentration, as well as obstacle to find inner true lasting peace, the nirvana, liberation, and fully enlightenment. So here, verse number 4, it says, having understood that disturbing conceptions are completely overcome by the superior insight endowed with the calm abidings. So, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the motivations, the whole meaning and purpose of practicing the Dharma is to reduce those disturbing negative emotions, that harms oneself and others, regardless of whatever form of Dharma you practice. Different lineage, different form of practice, whatever you practice, the very purpose of practicing the Dharma is to reduce and overcome those disturbing emotions, those negative emotions that harms you and that put you in a position to harm others. And so indirectly that harms others and yourself, So that is, so in relation to how can we reduce those disturbing negative emotions, then Buddha taught 3 different levels of practice, from beginning to more advanced. And so at the very beginning level, for the very beginning practitioners, where they don't have the tool, they haven't developed tool to overcome those negative emotions when that arises, then the Buddha taught, the method of how to keep away from the objects. Distance yourself from the objects that give rise to those afflictive emotions. It's like someone who's dealing with, addictions. And when they don't have the strong mental strength to reject the substance, when they come in contact with that, the best way is at the very beginning to keep them away from the substance, isn't it? That is what the first start is, to keep them away from the substance, because if they are close to substance, they cannot resist it. They cannot resist it, and so keep away from the substance. In the same way, for the very beginner, when we don't have those tools, is to keep distant from the objects. And that is the practice of the moral discipline, the precepts, all different precepts that we take, the vows or precepts that we take, is that method, so that we try to keep distant from those objects, so that by keeping distant from that object, so because we don't encounter those objects, therefore different afflictive emotion doesn't arise because of not coming in contact with that very beginning level. And then as you progress, then next is, through the practice of calm abiding meditative concentrations, on the basis of that moral discipline, then you develop, more higher level of meditations, meditative concentrations, calm abiding. And through the practice of meditative concentration, calm abiding, now you don't have to keep away from the distant from the object, even you are in contact with the object, but because of your meditations, you are able to go deep in the meditations, so that you can stop those afflictive emotions from arising. As long as you are in that deep meditations, those afflictive emotion doesn't arise, because you are able to dissolve you are able to dissolve all different thoughts, conceptions, mind, except for whatever object you are focusing on. So all those other thoughts, conceptions, you have that through your meditations on karma abiding, meditation concentration, you have that capacity, ability, technique, tools to dissolve all. And when you are when you are in that meditative state, then those afflictive emotions do not arise, manifest. Thereby it isn't disturbed as long as that. So that is more improvement from the first level, first level. But still, you haven't really completely destroyed the afflictive emotion. It's not arising, but it's there. As long as you are that meditative concentration, then it is not arising, but you haven't get rid of it. It is still there. And when you are in not deep meditations, then when you come to an object, those would arises. When you are not in deep meditative concentration, so therefore, next level is not only you develop a technique of meditation to not to allow them to arise when you are in meditation, but also, to completely destroy it. So even when you are not deep meditation, that even when you come into contact with the object, that delusion doesn't arise because you have completely, destroyed from the very root of it. So very root of it. And so that is what then the Buddha taught the practice of training in the wisdom, training in the wisdom. That is how, and so that is for more kind of, that practice is more advanced and more powerful, and to destroy the afflictive emotion completely from the very root. And so that is that's what it is saying, in order to destroy those meditative concentration completely from the very root, then one need to develop superior spiritual insight endowed with the karma abidings, And that special insight is the wisdom relies on the ultimate truth, Of course, all wisdom relies on ultimate truth. It's not necessarily special insight, but special insight is definitely the wisdom relies on ultimate truth. So the superior special insight. So there are some technical kind of subtlety, but I don't think I need to go at the moment. Where is 4? And 4, so you need to have that special insight. And in order to have that special insight, you need to develop karma abiding. Therefore, he says, first of all, I should search for karma abiding. And this is karma abiding or meditative concentration. This is achieved through the genuine joy of those unattached to the worldly life. And some such karma abiding can be cultivated and developed, when we engage into the practice with a genuine joy and enthusiasm without, being attached to the worldly life, without being attached to the worldly activities, ordinary worldly activities. And so therefore, in order to achieve that karma abiding, then you need to reduce being attached to those worldly activities, worldly things, And to do that at the very beginning, we need to keep distant from those objects as much as possible. And so then in order to let go of attachments, in order to let go of attachments, then we have to understand the shortcoming of attachments. The disadvantage of attachments, the shortcoming of attachments. And again, I want to kind of clarify a little bit here, because when we use this particular word attachments, because maybe in normal Western world, you might use that word in a different way than the way we use in Buddhist. So I think we have to, from Buddhist point of view, when we talk about attachment, we are describing one of disturbing negative emotions. So it's something negative, not. So sometimes, different translators use different terms because, not every terms have same. So sometimes we use craving, sometimes you use attachment, sometimes you use desire, sometimes you use passions. Different terms they have been used because any of term doesn't completely convey the message that is explained in the Buddhist psychologies of the mind. And so here, when we talk about attachments, so in Tibetan, there are many different terms for even attachment, dochak, chapa, seba, and so each of them have that, it has shamba, so there is some in this attachment that we're describing, that one of the disturbing negative emotions, it has these characteristics of kind of craving to some extent, grasping and clinging to some extent, so therefore so we have to also understand that. So in order to reduce and destroy such attachment, then you have to understand the shortcomings, of the attachment, the disadvantage, the harmfulness of such attachment. So, and then once you understand that, then then you have more stronger inspirations or interest to reduce and negative, because you see how harmful it is, that you see that it doesn't have benefit, but it has this disadvantage to develop such mind. And so therefore, then once you have that, then you can apply different technique of meditation, the antidote to reduce and overcome. So here, verse number 5, talking about some of the shortcoming or disadvantage or harmfulness of attachments. Because of the obsessions one transcendent beings has for other transcendent beings, he will not see his beloved ones again for many thousands of lives. So here is saying, so here talking about the attachment to people. When you are attached to the people, you yourself who is attached to the others is impermanent, transcendent. You will not last forever. Your life will come to end. Not only yourself, the person to whom you are attached to, also that person is impermanent. That person is also not going to last forever. Their life will come to end. And when life comes to the end, either you die before them or whether they die before you, and then we're separated. And once we have been separated, we might not meet for many lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes. We might not meet again for many lifetimes. That is the reality. But if you are obsessed or if you're attached to those people, and when that happens, when you separate, either they pass away before you or you pass away before them, before that, then there is a lot of suffering and pain, the pain and sufferings, So therefore, here it says, not seeing them, I'm unhappy. That's verse number 6. So because you are so attached to them, when you are so attached, you want to see all the time. You want to be with them all the time. But when we get separated in that way, and you still have strong attachments, then you suffer so much. You suffer so much because of not being able to see them, because of not being able to be with them for so long. The pain, the grief, the sadness that one experience, one go through, is the stronger attachment you have, the more stronger that is, the more overwhelmed you become. Less attachments, if you are less attachments, of course, whether you have attachment, not attachments, someone who is close, dear, when someone passes out, you feel sad, you grieve, but it will be not overwhelming. It will not be overwhelming. You feel the sadness, you feel the loss, you feel the grief of losing someone who is dear and close to you, but you will not be overwhelmed by such emotions. But when you have strong attachment, then you can be overwhelmed, and it could take you many years or sometimes even a whole life before you can overcome from that loss. It can affect you, so strongly. And again, that is due to the level. It depends on how strong our attachment. And then it doesn't help anyone when you are overwhelmed by when you are overpowered, overwhelmed by such a strong emotions, you are unable to function yourself better, and it affects others, people around you, so it affects you and all others. It is an effect. It doesn't change the person who had your loss and their beings, they would like to see you to be more happy and not depressed and negative, So therefore, again, so that is why not seeing them, I'm unhappy. And my mind cannot be settled in equipoise. And when your mind is unhappy, when your mind is disturbed constantly, missing, constantly thinking about them all the time, even when you try to meditate, contemplate, you cannot focus. You are unable to focus. Your mind you are unable to focus on the object that you are trying to focus. You cannot be in focus, equipoise mind, because your mind is constantly bothered or distracted by those different thoughts, by thinking about them, thinking about the experience that we had together, thinking about what we did together, thinking about what we said, what they said, thinking about how I should have done, shouldn't have done, thinking about what they could have done, they couldn't have done. All those different thoughts, feelings, emotions keep on manifesting, arising frequently, often. And due to that, even you try to meditate, even you try to focus, you are unable to focus, you are unable to meditate well. So that's, and even if I see them, there's no satisfaction. Even in case you see them in the futures, firstly, maybe we might not recognize each other, but even if you see them and even you are able to recognize them, even you are able to recognize each other, even you are able to recognize in each other, still, when you are strong attached, still that doesn't fulfill your satisfactions. Even when you meet the object, it doesn't fulfill your satisfactions. It doesn't fulfill your thirst because of that attachment. With attachments, even you get what things you want, even you meet what you want to meet, but you still want more and more. Not only you are happy to see them, you want to see them all the times. Not only then you are not happy if you don't see all the time. It's not enough seeing them. You need to feel like you need to see all the time. And even you are able to see all the time, still not satisfied because of your attachments. Still, you want them to show you more love, more compassion, give you more intense, more focus. You want them to give, the word I'm trying to remember that. Attentions. You want them to give you more attentions. And when that doesn't happen, you are not happy, satisfied. So again, if you don't see them, there's pain. If you see them, still there's no true happiness. Still there is dissatisfaction. Still not completely unhappy, not completely happy. Why is that? Because of attachment. So therefore he said, and as before, I am tormented by the craving. Tormented by the craving. When you don't see them, when you separate from them, you are tormented because of your attachment. And also, when you have strong attachment, even you see them, still you are tormented by the attachment. Still you are bothered by the attachments. And that is true in our life, it's true. And also the other disadvantage here of attachment is another disadvantage, or another how attachment create interference, obstacle for to develop meditative concentration, as well as to find true inner peace, liberations, and fully enlightenment. So here in verse number 7, through being attached to the living beings and completely obscure from perfect realities, due to being attached to the other sentient beings, other living beings, such as people and so forth, our mind is obscure. Our mind is obscured by that strong attachment, that strong craving, that strong. And due to that strong obscuration or craving and the desire, then, we are unable to see the perfect ultimate reality, perfect ultimate reality, because that has been obscured by that, And when you are unable to see and have the awareness of perfect reality, then, you cannot achieve, true inner peace, liberations. Also, I'm completely these illusions with the cyclic existing perish. Also, when you have strong attachments, then your pure renunciation mind also deteriorate, decrease. The renunciating mind, the renounced mind is giving up attachments. That's what renunciation means. Renunciation doesn't mean giving up something physical. It's giving up something internal, and that is giving attachment. Renunciations means not having attachments to the samsara and samsaric pleasure or samsaric excellence, And so again, that is the renunciations. So when you are strongly attached to someone, then it becomes an obstacle to develop renunciations. And even you have already developed renunciation before, but when you get attached to something, then that deteriorate and perish that renunciation mind, And in the end, I'm tortured by sorrow, and in the end, you suffer a lot because of that attachment, When you have attachment, so much pain and suffering, so much fear, worry, anxieties arises, When you have attachment to something, whether it's a person, whether it's another objects, the fear and worry of whether we will be able to get that object or not, that whether we will have that or not, the fear, worry, whether we will be able to achieve that, whether we will be able to accomplish that or not, all this fear and worry comes not because you want to achieve something or because you want to accomplish something, but it comes from attachments, You can still have wish to achieve something. You can still have wish to accomplish something, and you still pursue to accomplish something and achieve something, but without strong attachment. And if you don't have strong attachment, while you pursue for that, but you will have less fear, less worry about the outcome. You just pursue and you just engage into that, but without too much overly worry and fear and anxiety about whether I will be able to achieve, whether I will have the outcome that I want to see, And then you have also, because of when you have that strong attachment, then you have sense of, competitiveness, sense of, with others, because then you think, oh, maybe that person might get instead of me, that person might take away instead of me. And so then you feel jealousy, you feel competitive with others. All this emotion arise because of attachment, and due to that jealousy, due to that competitive mind, then we again suffer a lot, give us sleepless night, And then even you are able to achieve and accomplish what you want to achieve and accomplish. When you have strong attachment, the pain, suffering doesn't stop there. Now you are waiting, you might lose it. Before is waiting and fear, whether you will be able to achieve it, whether you will be able to accomplish it. Now you have been able to accomplish and achieve it. Now the waiting and fear is whether you will lose it, whether you will lose it, whether you be separated from that, whether you lose it. So again, the fear, the worry, the anxiety doesn't stop even after you achieve what you want. And all this unnecessary. A lot of those fear, worry are unnecessary. And we suffer so much. And so many of those unnecessary overly thinking and fear and worry arises because of the attachments. Because of the attachments. So that is where it's in the end, I'm tortured by the sufferings, by the sorrow. At the end, due to that attachments, cravings, the attachments, it end up, giving so much pain, suffering, sorrow in our life, And then also more, disadvantage and harm it does. But number 8, by thinking only of them, when you are attached, when you are attached to something, it's hard to not to think about the objects. You constantly, your mind constantly keep on thinking of that objects, It's like it's like it becomes a little bit like that, the mothers cannot stop thinking about their child, Even the child is just absolutely fine and good, the mother cannot stop worrying about them. All the time they keep on worrying. All the time, when they send to school, they worry about it. When they send to something else, somewhere, they worry about it. When they go somewhere, they worry about it. So, the mother cannot stop thinking about the child. So constantly worrying about the child. Similarly, when you have strong attachments, of someone or something, it's hard not to think about that. It's hard not to worry about that, and so that is what attachment. So you thinking all the time, this life will pass without any meanings, So because you're constantly thinking of that and you're constantly running after that, and constantly you are dedicated just only for that, and then you are unable to achieve many of the other potential that you have, that you could make and achieve. And so thereby, then the life come to end without having to achieve much meaningful, having, when you think that you think about your life, then say, something you are very happy about, proud about, that you have done something really good, positive, meaningful purpose, really high purpose, so it could, our life, so that is also. Furthermore, impermanent friend and relative would even destroy the Dharma, which lead to the permanent liberations. So again, we are being so attached to those friends and relatives who are in nature impermanent, in the nature of impermanent. We ourselves is in the nature of impermanent, as mentioned before, So, and because we are being so attached to that, and because we just focus our life so much on them, we cannot find time to study and practice. We cannot find time to study and practice. We cannot find time to practice. And therefore, we are unable to achieve, therefore we are unable to achieve fully enlightened state, the permanent happiness, the permanent liberations, So it's like, we miss big opportunity by being distracted with small things. It's like that. You have the potential to achieve something such a big things, and we get distracted with something very small things, and then we lose this great opportunity to do something great. It is like you have the potential and opportunity to protect the whole countries, and you get so distracted, and then trying to save something or trying to do something, very small things, and then you lose this opportunity to protect this whole world or these whole countries. Even though you have potential and opportunity to that, you lose that opportunity. You lose that opportunity. How do you lose that opportunity? Because you get so distracted to one small thing because of that attachment. And because of that, so that is what here is, to give an example similar like that here, what he's saying, And if we really check it, it's true. It's true. I think one of the reasons someone like His Holiness Dalai Lama and many others some of the great leaders throughout the world, many of them, they were able to do bigger for the whole world because they are not distracted and attached to small things. If they are attached to their small families, very small number of families, then their whole life, their focus is on that. And they cannot think bigger pictures about the well-being of the world, the well-being of all sentient beings, because their whole energy, their whole attentions, their whole focus is gone to their few people they are very attached to. Everything's about taking care of them. Everything's about worrying about them. Everything's about, and so then you cannot think bigger. You don't have this time, you don't have the mental space, you don't have the opportunity to think bigger and to do bigger, to think of the bigger world, the whole sentient beings, and you lose that opportunity. And so basically that is what is similarly, it's what it's saying, so. And so again, also, if you don't give up attachments, and if you follow the attachments, then not only all the harm and all the shortcoming that is explained, but also, it will also create more pain and sufferings. So here, if I behave in the same way as the childish, so that is, ordinary beings who are very attached, who are very attached to the samsara, who are very attached to samsara, other beings and objects, then if we follow that attachment like them, then I shall certainly proceed to the lower realms and the futures. Then due to attachment, we create a lot of negative karma, and having created a lot of negative karma, strong negative karma, then, that will also lead to the lower realms. If I am led there by those unequal to the noble ones, what is the use of entrusting myself to the childish, And so therefore, again, if we give up attachments, then, we'll be able to achieve, Arya Noble path, become Arya Noble ones, and achieve enlightenment, liberation and enlightenment, But if we don't give up attachments, instead we follow the attachments, then it will keep us in the samsara and problem and sufferings. And therefore, you shouldn't be so attached to those objects. And, you shouldn't be so attached to those objects. And, yeah. And you shouldn't trust yourself, thinking that the object or your attachments will give you the true happiness. by following attachments and by holding strongly attached to them, that will give you true happiness and satisfaction. By following the attachment, it can never lead you to satisfaction, to happiness. And so again, more reason why we shouldn't be so attached to others beings, friends, families, relatives, why we shouldn't be so attached to them, why we shouldn't be so attached to them. So at the very beginning, there is a lot on that. And again, yeah. And why we shouldn't be so attached to them? Because, so unstable, unreliable. And that is the nature of that. So in verse number 10, one moment they are friends, in one moment we all feel, almost feel that I cannot live without you, you cannot live without me. In one moment you feel I'm always for you, you are always for me. In one moment we feel, I will be supporting you whole my life regardless of whatever happens, and you will support me regardless of whatever it happened to me. You feel like it's inseparable and so close and so dear and so precious and so kind in that. And in the next instant, they become enemies. Suddenly, one situation could turn upside down. In one situation, one event, one misunderstanding, one miscommunication, nothing serious sometimes, one misunderstanding, one miscommunication, or, one moment of losing one of the either other person's mind or your mind and being, saying something harsh, something negative, or behaving something aggressively, violently in that moment, either by yourself or others. And that moment could change everything from becoming that precious, dear friends to the most worst enemy. That could just shift within a very small moment. Such is unreliable of relationship. Such is unreliable of relationship. Any kind of relationship. That could change in one moment. Just the opposite. From being wanting to be with that person all the time, from being, I don't want to see even 1 second. I don't want to see your face even for 1 second. Get out of my sight. I don't even want to think about you. It could change like that in an instant. So when relationships are such unstable, unreliable, impermanent, we shouldn't be so attached to that. We shouldn't be so attached to that. We shouldn't be so attached to that. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have a relationship. It's not saying you shouldn't have a relationship, but without attachments. If your relationship is without attachments, your relationship will be more healthy, more positive, more stable. But when attachments are involved in such relation, any kind of relations, when attachments are involved, then the relationship become very unhealthy, unstable. unreliable. Because our mind go up and down, our mind change up and down. Our attachments up and down. And when that changes, then you feel differently. You know. And not only that, then since they become angry, even in joyful situations, you know. Even you try to help them to, you know, even you try to help them to have a more joyful situations, you know, even when you try to help them, you know, to reduce their problem, their pain, their sufferings, you know, sometimes they get angry at that. Why are you, you know, what you call, mentoring my business, you know, keep out of my business. That is sometimes how we feel, you know, even when you, with your best intentions to help them, whatever problem they are having, whatever difficulties, challenges they are experiencing, with the best intention, even you try to help them, sometimes they are not right state of mind. Sometimes they are not right state of mind. Sometimes they misunderstand. Sometimes their mind is not in a good state, you know, calm state. And then your help, that you are trying to help them to find a more peace, more joy, solution to their problem. They don't take it a positive way, and they take it more negative way, and they get upset and angry, thinking, you know, you are meddling with my life, you are meddling with my business, you know, it's not your business. Why are you trying to do that? You know, we get upset and angry, even when you're trying. And such is that it's difficult to please ordinary peoples. So yes, you know, it's very difficult to, if you don't reach out, they say you didn't reach out. If you reach out, why are you meddling with my business? Isn't it? And not only others, we feel same way sometimes. Sometimes we want to be quiet. We don't want other people to call you or text you and ask you what is happening. Are you okay? When you feel like you need a kind of just quiet space for yourself, and then you might get upset and disturbed, you know, instead of appreciating that. And sometimes they don't call you and they don't ask you, and then what happened? You know, they don't care about me. They have no concern about me. They don't love me. They didn't call me. They didn't write me. They didn't ask me. So, you know, it's very difficult to please ordinary beings. That's the fact of reality. If you don't do anything, it's problem. If you do something, it's problem. You know? If you ask them to go right, it's problem. If you ask them to go left, it's problem. If you ask them to sit in center, it's a problem. If you don't tell anything, it is a problem. There is always complaint and problem. And the reason is because we are ordinary samsara being full of afflictive emotions. That is why, you know, not necessarily because we are bad persons by nature, but just because we are unenlightened. Unenlightened, ordinary being with a lot of afflictive emotion, delusions, and so because of that, then you know, you are not always in good state of mind, and your mind change all the times, and because of that change, then you behave differently, you act differently, and because of that, then it becomes very difficult for anyone to please anyone. And such is the nature of the ordinary unenlightened samsaric beings. That being the case, here the main message is, therefore, you shouldn't be so attached to any of those relationships. That is the key. Therefore, you shouldn't be so attached to that. By understanding that that is what it is, the nature of that beings is such, so that you shouldn't be attached and you shouldn't expect them to be friends all the time. Do you get it? Because that could change. That's the nature of the things. That could change. Don't expect everyone to be close and dear all the time. Don't expect everyone to be kind and precious all the time. Even they are that could change. And therefore, don't expect that and don't be attached to that relationship. And so we engage in whatever relationship that we engage into without so much expectations and so much attachments. And if we engage with less attachment and less attachment and less expectations, our relationship would be better, healthy, more stable. So yeah, I think maybe I will stop here at the moment. Any questions? From this morning, any questions?
Hi, Geshe. We had a question somebody put in chat. So Laura is in the chat is asking, thank you, Geshe, for your excellent teachings. If we dedicate the results of our Dharma work for the benefit of others, is this helpful to reduce our cravings and attachments?
Yes, I think, and specifically, you can dedicate, yeah. And when we dedicate for the Dharma to benefit of others, definitely it helps. But also, of course, the dedication helps. There's no doubt that dedication helps. But again, we really have to work with our mind, by understanding with all the shortcomings and the harm of attachment, as mentioned, and applying your own experience, and then trying to apply different meditation, the antidote, the different meditation technique that Shantideva will explain later, and others, and then trying to reduce the anger, reduce the attachments, and all other negative, disturbing emotion as much as so. And then, intention, dedications, importance, and it helps. Correct intentions at the beginning and dedication at the end. But the man in the middle, whatever meditation practice you do regarding how to reduce those negative emotions, then you try to do that. And then when all those are together, then definitely it helps. And also sometimes you can also dedicate specifically, from all the Dharma teaching or whatever practice, virtues we have engaged to be able to destroy and to be able to eliminate those afflictive emotions. You can even make more specific dedication for that as well, to eliminate, destroy of your own and and of all sentient beings disturbing negative emotions. And so also that would be helpful. Yeah.
Aaron, did you have a question? Oh, so Aaron's put it in the chat. Do you want to ask or should I ask?
I think I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, it is same. Even in relationship, as I said, any kind of relationship is whether it's a relation between two wife, husband, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whether it's a relation between parent and children, whether it's a relation between Sangha members, whether it's between a relationship between the teachers and the disciples, any kind of relationship is better. In all these different relationships, is more healthy, better when there's less expectation from each others, when there's less attachment to each others, it becomes more healthier. You know, and same with Sangha. You know, if we within the Sangha we have this Sangha relationship, and if you have expectations that the Sangha will support me and help me when I need in this and that, and then you have those expectations, and when those expectations are not met, then you feel disappointed, and you feel the Sangha is not helping me. What is the point of Sangha? What is the purpose of Sangha? Because they didn't fulfill my expectation, my needs. So then you started to feel negative about the Sangha itself. And then you create negative karma as well. And so if you don't have those expectations, if someone reached you and helped you, that's great. If someone didn't, somehow they didn't know, or they didn't have the time, or whatever, for whatever reason, or they didn't have, and so or they forgot to reach out and that, and still you are not disappointed and unhappy about it because you didn't have such expectations, and you're disappointed and have negative thoughts. And instead, you say, okay, maybe they didn't have time, maybe they were too busy, maybe they didn't understood, maybe they didn't. So so your mind doesn't get so negative. And so I think it also applies same to the Sangha as well, the relation between the Sangha. Yeah.
So, go ahead, Aaron.
I thank you very, very much. I guess I asked the question because it is a jewel, and if you're not supposed to have those negative expectations, then what sort of, I guess, don't have those expectations at all ultimately, but what is the healthier attitude then to the Sangha with the relationship? Because we go for refuge in the Sangha, so that is my understanding. So how can I do that in a healthy way without being so attached to expectation of what that means, if that makes sense? Thank you.
Yes. We shouldn't have expectation not only from the Arya Sangha members, but even from the Buddha. When there is expectations, then you have opened the space for disappointments. When there is no expectations, you have less disappointments. And so again, when there is expectations, and sometimes not only expectations, sometimes we have very high unrealistic expectations from the Dharma, from the Sangha, from the Buddha, from the Guru, and all of that. And when we have those kind of expectation, and sometimes not only expectation, very high expectation, and sometimes some of those expectations are unrealistic. And then when that happens, then we end up being disappointed, and disappointed with the Sangha, disappointed with the Dharma, disappointed with the Buddhas, disappointed with the Guru, and all of that. So there is always, it opened the gate for the disappointment, and suffering and pain. But you know, like it's like, you know, like when you have to take certain medications, okay? You are not attached to that. Some treatments. Or sometimes in Tibetan medicine, you have to take some of those medicines who are very bitter, you know, very bitter, you know. So when you take it, you don't have attachment for that, you know, but you take it because you know it will help your health. And so there is, you know, no attachment to the medicine itself or flavor of the medicine itself, but you know you need to do that in order to cure the illness. So then you take it, you do it because it is helpful, beneficial, but without any attachment towards that. And when you have attachment, then there is expectation involved with that. You know, the attachments and expectations. There's a strong relationship between that. When you have attachment, then you have expectation from things. And so therefore, you know, you do it because, you know, whether it's Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Guru, you know, we take refuge, you know, because it helps us, you know, because they can inspire us, they can guide us, you know, they can bless us, they can show us the path, you know. So because of that, because of those, if you engage in that, there is a benefit, the help that one receive, but without being attachment or without much expectations, you know, you just enjoy the process itself. You just enjoy the practice itself without having attached or expectation for the outcomes, you know. And when you have less expectations, the better result you have from your practice and meditations. When you have more expectations, then it becomes obstacles for your practice. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So we have,
Hello.
go
Yes.
ahead, Christine.
I wonder if I could ask, when I do meditation, I think I can think of many examples of distractions on the course level, but could you give some examples of distractions on the subtle and extreme subtle level, please?
Uh-huh. On the very extreme subtle levels, you know, of course, on gross levels, when your mind gets distracted and you lose the objects of your meditations, you know, whether you are focused on the breath or whether you are meditating on bodhisattva, emptiness, or image of Buddha, whatever visualizations, your mind goes all over the world. You start thinking and doing things that you lost the objects. Those are the gross level of distractions. Subtle level of distraction is you haven't lost the objects. You are still aware of the objects. You are still in meditation. You are still objects, but it's like, you know, one side of your mind is focused, but one side of your mind is thinking something else, distracted. Do you get it? Like it is
Yes.
like I'm looking at some object with my eyes. Someone's going and then I follow that and then I lose my gate. That's gross distractions. And now I'm looking at my gate and I see someone going. So I haven't lost my focus on the gate. I'm still aware of that gate, but still half of my mind is following that person's. That is kind of subtle distractions. And the most subtle distractions is that you are not really distracted, but there is a danger of getting distracted in the next moment, you know, almost like you are ready to get distracted that next moment, you know. And so those are the kind of most subtle distractions. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay. And then I think there is one question. This will be the last for now. I can take later. Gisela, how do you see difference in how we relate to conventional Sangha and Arya Sangha? Yeah, conventional Arya Sanghas is any individual who have direct realization and emptiness. So they are the noble one, Arya Sanghas, and so they are the one who we inspire, to be like them. They are like the perfect follower of the Buddhas. It's like that the Arya Sangha are like a perfect follower of the Buddhas who have followed the path and who have actualized the Dharma, the wisdom, realizing emptiness directly within their mind, and that is something we inspire for. And from there whom we try to, it's like our role model in a way that we want to achieve, and we ourselves want to be the Arya Sangha and eventually the Buddha, become Buddha ourselves. And in conventional Sanghas is, communities, especially the, of course, they are slightly different, a community of four, sometimes it's a community of four full ordination monks, sometimes it's the full ordination and then the novice and then lay practitioners with the lay vows, Genye, Pomo. And so, and that is the kind of the Sangha, conventional Sanghas. And conventional Sangha is that, that can support us, like in the monasteries, there is our teachers, disciplinaries, the effort, they always kind of remind us as well, all the time as well. You learn mostly from your classmates, from who you interact all the time. They say you get more knowledge, you learn more from them than actually your teachers. Sometimes they say that. They say, 20, almost like, not exactly 25% from your teacher, 25% from your self-studies, and almost like 50% from the discussions with your friend, interacting with your friend, classmate, and all of that. And so that is similarly that's conventional Sangha is that they're where, support each other. Support is when you have some, when someone is kind of being discouraged and someone is having lost some kind of energy in your practice, then other Sangha members can inspire them, help them in whatever way, them to be more inspired, to be more engaged, enthusiasms. If they have some kind of misunderstanding or doubt, the Sangha member can help them to, in the discussions and listening, and if it needed to give some more explanations so that their misunderstanding, so their doubt could be clear. And so in that way, the relationship is to support each other on our spiritual level, mostly on spiritual level. Of course, that doesn't mean we cannot also support and help on worldly level when someone is sick, when someone needs this and that. But mostly the relationship, the Sangha is to support each other on our spiritual path, on a spiritual level. And that is the one, that is the main relationship. Sangha relations mostly on to support and help each other on our spiritual path, on our spiritual. So that is more spiritual relationship in that way. I don't know whether I answered the question, but.
Yes, no, that was great, Geshe. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Then see you later. Okay, thank you. Night. No, good night.
Good day.
Okay.
Tuchiche.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone. So we should be back. We'd plan to be back at 12:30, which isn't far from now. So thank you very much.
So that would be in 40 minutes, right? Oh, 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
It's the same link to go in.
Did it work? It worked,
Yes,
yeah.
it works.
Good.
I don't know why I cannot paste it,
Huh.
and then I copy it into a paper. I
Yeah.
try to go in.
Yeah.
Nothing. Anyway, I'm here. But it's the same. It's the same link, ¿verdad?
Uh-huh.
Correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, same link. Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just
Right.
can
Hi,
I
Christine.
apologize? Hi, can I just apologize? I didn't reply to you at the beginning.
Oh.
I've had problems after
Not at
problems after
all.
landing in the UK, and I'm still fighting with technology, trying to sort all my
Yes.
internet out at the moment.
Yes, no
So
problem at
I'll
all.
get it right sometime.
Okay. All right.
See you.
See
Bye.
you. That was a great question, by the way.